Hello there, welcome to News at 10 on Rajya Sabha television. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you, and in the next 30 minutes I'll be taking you through the biggest developing news stories from India and across the world, and also the stories that you might have missed during the night. Let us start with the headlines. BSF Jawan on vacation martyred in terrorist attack in J&K's Bandipora district. 4 family members sustained bullet injuries in indiscriminate firing by the terrorists. Police call the incident as barbaric, inhumane, say guilty would be punished. India reacts strongly after Islamabad calls Mumbai terror attack mastermind Hafiz Saeed and Lashkar-e-Toiba as a liability. Pakistan's foreign minister's statement after US President Donald Trump's savage takedown of Pakistan in August. Cabinet approves a 25,000 crore rupees mega internal security scheme. Home Minister says the project to strengthen law and order mechanism, modernization of police force and effectively fight against terrorism. UN Security Council to meet today to discuss Myanmar. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres to brief the gathering on Rohingya crisis. Britain, France and the US and 4 other countries requested the meeting. And Donald Trump looks to overhaul the US tax system. Framework released by the Republicans. Democrats criticize the plan as a giveaway for the wealthy. US President says the revamp will make the US more competitive and help the middle-class families. Big story coming in from Jammu and Kashmir, where a BSF Jawan was shot dead by terrorists last night at his house in Jammu and Kashmir's Bandipora district. The terrorists stormed into the house of 30-year-old Ramiz Pare and they started firing indiscriminately at him and his family. The Jawan died on the spot while 4 of his family members, his father, 2 brothers and an aunt suffered gunshot wounds. The condition of the Jawan's aunt was stated to be serious, while that of the 3 others was stable. Now, Ramiz Pare was belonging to 73rd Battalion of the BSF and he was on a vacation at that time. He had served the BSF for 6 years. The Director General of Jammu and Kashmir Police, SP Vaid, has termed the incident as barbaric and inhumane and said the guilty will be punished. On to the other top story. India has reacted strongly to Pakistan's big admission on terrorism, with Pakistan's Foreign Minister Khwaja Asif accepting that the Haqqanis, the 2611 mastermind Hafiz Saeed and the terror group Lashkar-e-Toiba are liabilities for his country. Union Minister for Minority Affairs Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi hit back at Pakistan, saying that till now they have never accepted that Hafiz Saeed was a terrorist who now has become a headache for Pakistan itself. Congress leader Sandeep Dikshit also slammed Pakistan for making the comments. Remember last evening, speaking at the Society Forum in New York, Pakistan's Foreign Minister Khwaja Asif had said that Pakistan has to continue its efforts in dismantling terrorism, but added that it does not have the required assets to do the job. However, he also said that the US, which is putting pressure on Pakistan to tackle terrorist groups operating from its soil, used to treat them as darlings just 20 to 30 years back. Now, talking about India-Pakistan relations, Khwaja said that a new initiative was needed to bring India and Pakistan to the negotiating table. Meanwhile, Pakistan has also extended Hafiz Saeed's house arrest by a month.
आज जो है वो जो बात हम शुरू से कहते रहे हैं कि चाहे हाफिज़ सईद रहा हो, चाहे और आतंकवादी संगठन हो जो कि पाकिस्तान में अपने सुरक्षित ठिकाने को बना के रखा हुआ था, तो उस वक्त पाकिस्तान उसका कहता था नहीं साहब हमारे यहाँ कोई आतंकवादी नहीं है, हाफिज़ सईद आतंकवादी नहीं हो तो महापुरुष है उसके लिए। तो अब उन्हीं का महापुरुष उनके लिए सरदर्द बन गया है, तो वो समस्या उनकी है। समस्या सबसे बड़ी ये है कि उन्हें आतंकवाद से अपना पल्ला झाड़ना पड़ेगा।
ऐसी बातें वो लोग पहले भी 2-3 बार कर चुके हैं। जब उन पर अंतर्राष्ट्रीय प्रहार होता है तो यकायक कुछ इन चीज़ों को कहने लगते हैं, क्योंकि अगर आपको लगता है कि इस बातों से आपको दिक्कत हो रही है तो आपको पता है वो कहाँ बैठे हैं। 2 मिनट लगता है, गिरफ्तार करिए, हिंदुस्तान को दे दीजिए, ख़त्म कहानी। लश्कर तैयबा का 2 मिनट में आपको मालूम है, आपकी आईएसआई में लोग हैं जो उन्हें पैसा देते हैं, प्रशिक्षण देते हैं, उनके कैंपों के लिए सामान देते हैं, आपको सारा पता है।
Meanwhile, in a strategic operation, a major hideout of Hizbul Mujahideen militant outfit was busted by the security forces in Jammu and Kashmir's Doda district. The hideout, concealed inside a natural cave, has been unearthed during an operation in the forest area of Thana in Desa area of the hilly district. The operation was launched following the intelligence inputs about the presence of militants there. A huge cache of arms and ammunition has also been recovered from the site. And this includes AK-47 assault rifles, Chinese pistols, grenades, rocket-propelled grenade rounds, under-barrel grenade launchers, 323 rounds of AK-47 ammunition, and a donation collection booklet of the militant group. According to security forces, the operation is a big blow to the nefarious designs of the militant outfits to revive militancy in Jammu and Kashmir. And the Indian Army also conducted operations against Naga insurgents along the India-Myanmar border on Wednesday. According to an army statement, heavy casualties were inflicted on members of the National Socialist Council of Nagaland Kaplang group in retaliatory fire along the Indo-Myanmar border on Wednesday. The operation was triggered after unidentified NSCK insurgents attacked an army column. No Indian soldier was injured in the attack. The army also asserted that Indian troops did not cross the international border. Remember, in June 2015, the army had conducted a similar operation against the banned insurgent groups following the killing of 20 soldiers in Manipur.
We have a right, we are competent to take care of our interest of securing our borders and our internal peace. Anybody who will try to disturb it should get a clear message that they will be dealt in a firm manner, what has been done in the Pakistan border previously and what has been done today, and in the future also similar actions if needed will be taken by this government.
On to some other news. The Union Cabinet has given its approval for the implementation of umbrella scheme of modernization of police forces for 3 fiscal years till 2019-20. The financial outlay for the scheme over the 3-year period is over 25,000 crore rupees. Earlier, there were 17 small schemes which were synergized and approved by the Cabinet Committee on Security.
The centre will provide monetary support to states to modernize the police force for 3 years till 2019-20. Home Minister Rajnath Singh said on Wednesday that out of the 25,060 crore earmarked for this, the centre will provide 80%. The Cabinet Committee on Security decided that northeastern states, Jammu and Kashmir and left-wing extremism affected states will also be covered under the project.
देश की इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी की अहमियत को समझते हुए ये फैसला किया गया कि नहीं, कुछ धनराशि राज्यों को मुहैया कराई जानी चाहिए। भले ही 32% से 42% शेयर उनको मिल रहा हो, इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी को स्ट्रेंथन करने के लिए, राज्यों की लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की सिचुएशन को इंप्रूव करने के लिए।
The Cabinet also decided to extend the retirement age of doctors to 65 years. This is aimed at reducing the shortage of doctors. Installation of telecom towers in army cantonments was also approved to improve mobile phone connectivity.
तो आज कैबिनेट ने एक नीतिगत फैसला किया है जिसमें वह ट्रांसपेरेंट मैकेनिज्म, द डिफेंस लैंड्स कैन बी गिवन टू द मोबाइल ऑपरेटर्स, टू द इंटरनेट सर्विस ऑपरेटर्स फॉर हैविंग शेयर्ड टावर्स टू फर्दर रीइंफोर्स their connectivity.
The Cabinet also approved signing the interbank local currency credit line agreement by Exim Bank with participating member banks under the BRICS interbank cooperation mechanism. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
The Chief Executive of Afghanistan, Abdullah, is in India on a 3-day working visit. His visit was delayed by a day due to terror attack in Kabul during US Secretary of Defense James Mattis' visit. Now, Afghan's CEO and head of cabinet Abdullah will meet with Prime Minister Narendra Modi today. He will also hold a meeting with External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj in the afternoon today. Later in the evening, the Afghanistan CEO will call on President Rajnath Singh at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. His visit comes just a couple of days after a meeting between US Defense Secretary James Mattis and Defense Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, where India refused to deploy security forces in Afghanistan. One of the major thrusts of his visit is to attract Indian investors in Afghanistan. He will also apprise Indian leadership of the situation in Afghanistan and preparedness of the forces in this fight against Al-Qaeda and the Taliban there. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday asked top bureaucrats to handhold small traders to resolve their problems relating to the goods and services tax. Now, chairing the 22nd monthly interaction with the officials known as Pragati, Prime Minister Modi said that chief secretaries should use the district administration to enable small traders to access and adopt the new system. During the interaction, Prime Minister reiterated that small businesses must register with the GST network to take advantage of the business opportunities. He said that the common man and the traders must benefit from this path-breaking decision. The Prime Minister also called for sustained efforts to boost digital payments and work towards a less cash society. He asked the Secretary of Financial Services to look at ways to increase the use of RuPay debit cards that have been issued to the Jan Dhan account holders. Prime Minister also reviewed the progress of 9 infrastructure projects worth over 37 crore rupees in railways, road, power, coal and gas pipeline sectors spread over several states. And on a visit to Gujarat, the Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu laid the foundation stone of a water pipeline project in Mehsana district under the government's Sujalam Sufalam Yojana. Addressing the gathering, the Vice President praised the Narendra Modi government for undertaking the project to link rivers, saying that it was the only way to deal with the floods and drought situation in the nation. Naidu laid the foundation stone for 6 water pipelines as part of a 1,243 crore rupees project, which aims to carry Narmada waters to 195 villages in Mehsana and neighbouring Gandhinagar district for irrigation purposes. Briefly addressing the gathering in Gujarati, Vice President Naidu also remembered the contribution made by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel in the unification of the country. The Vice President also said that agriculture and industry are key to India's development.
हर खेती को पानी, हर एक हाथ को काम. Work to every hand, water to every land. Water to every land. हर खेती को पानी पहुंचाना, हर हाथ को काम देना. ये बहुत जरूरी है. इतना आबादी है इस देश में, 130 करोड़ आबादी, इतना बाहुल्य है. इसलिए जब तक आप पूरा सब इलाके में पानी नहीं पहुंचाएंगे, हर एक हाथ को काम देना संभव नहीं होगा.
And earlier on Wednesday, Vice President visited the Indian Institute of Science in Bengaluru, where he addressed and interacted with the students and research scholars there. Speaking to the students, Venkaiah Naidu said that young scientists must be encouraged to come out with out-of-the-box solutions to help solve scientific problems and impart a fresh impetus to development. He also emphasized on the need to expand knowledge networks and enter into partnerships that will accelerate the pace and quality of the outcomes.
The young and budding scientists must be encouraged to come out with out-of-box solutions or disruptive technologies that will help in finding solutions to scientific problems and leapfrogging development. We need to expand the knowledge networks and enter into partnerships that will accelerate the pace and quality of the outcomes. It is not possible for government to do this alone. We need creative partnership arrangements so that our efforts are useful for the larger humanity. The academic circles, industrial houses, and the government must look at the social challenges and seek answers through collaborations and partnerships.
And Home Minister Rajnath Singh is embarking on a 4-day visit to Uttarakhand from today. During the visit, the Home Minister will review a Sino-Indian border area in Uttarakhand, which has witnessed transgression by the China's People's Liberation Army in recent past. This will be the first visit by a senior minister in the Narendra Modi government to China border after the resolution of the standoff in Doklam. The Home Minister will also visit ITBP border outposts at Rimkhim, Mana and Oli during the trip. During the visit, Rajnath Singh will also address the probationers of the IAS, IPS and other services at the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration in Mussoorie. He will also interact with the central government's additional secretary rank officers there on the first day of his visit. The Election Commission has banned former Jharkhand Chief Minister Madhu Kora from contesting polls for 3 years for filing incorrect election expenses. Kora has been charged for furnishing false expenditure details after the 2009 Jharkhand Assembly polls. According to reports, Kora had made an alleged expenditure of about 10 crore rupees during his election campaign against the stipulated 25 lakh rupees as per the Election Commission's guidelines for parliamentary polls at that time. In 2009, Kora had been elected as an independent MP from West Singhbhum constituency of the state. And the centre has extended the deadline for obtaining Aadhaar card for availing government schemes and subsidies by 3 months to 31st of December. According to reports, the deadline will be for those who are yet to apply for the Aadhaar card. As many as 135 schemes, including free LPG to poor women, kerosene and fertilizer subsidy, and targeted public distribution system as well as Manrega, will be covered by the extension among many others. Earlier, the government had extended the deadline till 30th of September. A very short break in here. Up next, we have all the international and sports news. Big story coming in from Japan, where Prime Minister there, Shinzo Abe, has dissolved Parliament's lower house ahead of a snap election. In the snap polls on 22nd of October, Abe is seeking a mandate to stick to his tough stance towards a volatile North Korea and a good security system. Now, Abe, a conservative who returned to power in 2012, is hoping a boost in his voter support in recent months with the help of his Liberal Democratic Party-led LDP coalition maintain a simple majority. It currently holds a 2/3 supermajority. His ratings have also risen to around 50% from around 30% in the month of July. He said that his goal was for his coalition to retain the majority in the chamber. Abe's LDP-led bloc is facing a major challenge by a fledgling conservative party led by popular Tokyo governor Yuriko Koike. And as the Rohingya crisis garners more and more attention each day, the United Nations Security Council is set to meet today to discuss the matter. The United Nations Secretary General will also brief the attendees on the crisis, which has been raging in Myanmar since 25th of August. The United Nations has accused the Myanmar military of carrying out ethnic cleansing in the region and has demanded immediate steps to end the conflict. The United Nations Security Council will meet today to discuss the violence in Myanmar. Britain, France, the US and 4 other non-permanent members, Egypt, Kazakhstan, Senegal and Sweden, requested the meeting. The meet comes after more than 430,000 people, mostly Rohingya Muslims, fled an army campaign in Myanmar in recent weeks and crossed into Bangladesh. The meeting will witness a briefing from UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on the crisis. While the United Nations has described the military operations as ethnic cleansing, Myanmar has objected to it.
Terms such as atrocities, ethnic cleansing and genocide must not be used lightly. The use of such terms should be considered only after there is solid evidence. Atrocities, ethnic cleansing and genocide are very serious charges that require legal review and judicial determination. They should not be bandied about and used loosely.
The crisis erupted on 25th of August when an insurgent Rohingya group attacked police outposts in Myanmar's Rakhine state. That prompted Myanmar's military to launch clearance operation against the rebels, setting off a wave of violence that has left hundreds dead and thousands of homes burnt and civilians fleeing to neighboring countries. The Security Council earlier this month called for immediate steps to end the violence. On Wednesday, United Nations refugee chief reiterated the call.
It was also very obvious to me when I visited northern Rakhine that was just a matter of time before terrorism would spring up from the situation of discrimination of poverty that prevailed in that area. The terrain is very fertile for that. So it's also a question of addressing this issue not only for the Rohingya, not only for northern Rakhine, but for the entire region.
In the wake of the crisis, many nations are pushing the Council to threaten sanctions against Myanmar's government and urging countries to review military cooperation. Myanmar's de facto leader and Nobel Prize winner Aung San Suu Kyi is facing widespread criticism over her failure to quell the crisis. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. News from the United States now, where President Donald Trump has proposed the most sweeping overhaul of the U.S. tax code in decades. A framework released by the Republicans calls for lowering the tax rates for corporations from 35% to 20%, among other changes. The president said that the revamp will make the U.S. more competitive and help the middle-class families. But Democrats have criticized the plan as a giveaway for the wealthy.
But our country and our economy cannot take off like they should unless we dramatically reform America's outdated, complex, and extremely burdensome tax code. It's a relic. Got to change it.
Donald Trump unveiling his plan for shaking up America's tax system, saying that deep cuts would make the U.S. more competitive and help ease the burden on middle-class families. The plan is the first major U.S. tax reform since 1986. Among other things, it calls for reducing the U.S. corporate tax rate from 35% to 20%.
Our framework includes our explicit commitment that tax reform will protect low-income and middle-income households, not the wealthy and well-connected. They can call me all they want. It's not going to help. I'm doing the right thing, and it's not good for me, believe me.
U.S. President also said that reforms will lead to a simplification of the tax code, framing the effort in his speech as a historic opportunity. He said that the idea is also a bid to spur economic growth and encourage U.S. companies to locate and invest in the United States.
Instead of a source of pride, our tax code has become a constant source of frustration. It's too big. It's too complicated. It's too expensive. Today, we are taking the next step to liberate Americans from our broken tax code. This unified framework delivers a new tax code that is simple, that is fair, that is pro-growth and pro-family.
Trump's push on tax reform comes on the heels of his latest in a string of stinging defeats on health care reform, with Senate Republicans repeatedly failing to string together 50 votes to replace Obamacare. Trump's tax plan also faces an uphill battle in the Congress, with his own Republican Party divided and the Democrats hostile, who criticize the plan as a giveaway for the wealthy. The White House is, however, aiming to push the tax reform through Congress by the end of the year. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is starting his 3-day visit to China to discuss the North Korean crisis and the trade in China. Now, Tillerson, who will be in China until Saturday, will also lay the groundwork for U.S. President Donald Trump's visit in November. Tillerson's visit comes at a time of high tension between the U.S. and North Korea, which is working to develop nuclear-tipped missiles capable of reaching the U.S. mainland. Let's get you some more news from across the globe in World Wrap. The U.S. Navy performed rescues off the Caribbean island of Dominica in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria. Videos showed some of the evacuees being carried to helicopters on stretchers, as well as several young children being brought to safety. The storm has left the majority of the island's buildings damaged and dozens of people are still missing. Category 5 Hurricane Maria made landfall on Dominica on 18th of September, claiming the lives of 15 people and affecting most of the small island's population. Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg has dismissed comments made by Donald Trump that the site has always been against him. The US president accused the social network of collusion on Twitter, branding it as anti-Trump. The developments come even as Facebook, with a share with US investigators, some 3,000 political ads that it says Russia-based operatives ran on Facebook in the months before and after last year's US presidential election. Iraq's Kurds announced a massive yes vote for independence on Wednesday, following a referendum that has incensed Baghdad and sparked international concern. Official results showed 92.73% of the voters backing a statehood. Iraq's central government termed the referendum as illegal. The turnout was put at 72%. Iraqi Kurd leaders say that the results should open the door for negotiations. Thailand's ousted former Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra was handed a 5-year prison sentence on Wednesday. This after the country's highest court found her guilty of negligence in the management of a rice subsidy scheme. Yingluck had fled abroad last month, fearing that the military government set up after the coup in 2014 would seek a harsh sentence. And on to some cricket news now. India will take on Australia in the 4th ODI cricket match at M. Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru today. India is looking for a 4th win this time to maintain supremacy and retain its top spot in the ICC ODI ranking. Now, India has already clinched the 5-match ODI series by winning the 3rd match at Indore on Sunday by 5 wickets. And the International Cricket Council is going to impose new rules from today. In the new rules, significant changes include a restriction on the dimensions of the bat and changes to the decision review system as well. From now onwards, the players can be sent off for misconduct during the matches. Also, in the case of boundary catches, airborne fielders making their first contact with the ball will need to have taken off from within the boundary, otherwise the boundary will be scored. Besides these, batsmen can now be caught out, stumped or even run out, even if the ball bounces off the helmet worn by the fielder or a wicket-keeper. All these rules will come into effect from the 2 upcoming Test series, when South Africa hosts Bangladesh and when Pakistan take on Sri Lanka in the UAE. And finally, NASA is readying for the first mission to directly probe the sun. Now, launching in June 2018, Parker Solar Probe will dive into the sun's atmosphere and is set to orbit the sun in 2024. Once launched, the spacecraft will send back data around 89 million miles away. We leave you with the visuals of a Parker Solar Probe. Thanks so much for watching.